Every day, newly arriving families and individuals coming to the United States face overwhelming challenges as they transition into their new lives in an unfamiliar country. From our years of service, Grace has discovered that many of these people don't have access to basic resources such as a place to live, a car to drive, or even to know how to speak English. Beyond their initial arrival, they may face complex social situations like applying for school, obtaining a driver's license, finding basic health care, and pursuing a career. With so many obstacles to manage, the transition can be very difficult and seemingly impossible to begin a new life. We believe that together with your help, we can change that. This holiday season, help us to provide families boundless opportunities by donating a monthly gift to Grace. Your monthly gift goes towards our resettlement assistance program that has helped over 600 families from 10 different countries. It will help provide without cost or condition the basic resources in order to grow, thrive, and build a self-sufficient life.
Hello everyone, my name is Mariana Kalds. I'm a student at CSULB. I'm a biology major with minors in psychology and chemistry. First of all, I'd like to thank Grace for this great opportunity to be here today and talk to you about how to get into dental schools. So what we're gonna talk about today is just a little introduction about dentistry, the prereq classes that you will have to take, the DET, and the application and the well-rounded applicant, as well as some of the California dental schools, and some about interviews and some specialties that you can get into. First of all, why dentistry? So something that is really important and really tempting is the wage. So the median annual wage for dentist is around 160K, and if you decide to open your own office, it goes up to about 200K. And it is rated as one of the best jobs because it gives you a chance to actually have a life. So you work, for example, if you work in the office in the morning, you are free in the afternoon. And it's very, very rewarding, and you get to see very happy patients and how much you affect their lives. You, as I mentioned before, you also have a chance to open your own office or specialize, which gives you opportunity for growth. And why dentistry is a very important question that you should start thinking about now. Why you want to be a dentist, because it will help you in writing your personal statement, and when you go and do interviews, hopefully in the future, that's a very important question that they might ask you. Okay, so let's start with dental school prerequisites. To apply to dental schools, there are some classes that you will need to take. So some of these prerequisites are 1 year of general chemistry with lab, 1 year of OChem with lab, 1 year of bio with lab, 1 year of physics with lab, 1 year of English, and some schools require anatomy, some don't. If you want to be on the safe side and take anatomy, that's something that is very recommended. Or if you want to apply to specific dental schools, I'd recommend you search the schools you want to go to their websites and check what specific requirements and prerequisites they want. Also, more prerequisites are psychology, biochemistry, 1 semester of calculus, and some schools require 1 year, and statistics. Okay, so an important question that comes up is, do I have to be a science major? And the answer is no. You do not have to be a science major, but it's very, very tempting because the prerequisites that I mentioned before, they kind of are the same classes that you have to take if you are, for example, a biology major. That's why I chose biology, because I love it, and because most of the classes that are already prerequisites to dental schools will be the same classes that you have to take. However, some people are not really strong in science, and that's totally fine, so they choose major like kinesiology, psychology, health science, public health. These majors, they are not super hard. You don't have to take the upper division biology classes, for example. Some of the prerequisites are the same, but you will also have to take major classes that are usually easier. So the choice is really yours. If you like science, it interests you, you would love to go into science, go for it. If you feel like you're not really strong, you don't want to take, for example, immunology or advanced organic chemistry, you don't have to, and you can choose some of the lighter majors. Another question that I faced when I made a choice to go to a CSU versus a UC is that I thought that I had to go to a UC to go to grad school, or it looks better on the application, for example. And it actually doesn't really matter. So you don't have to go to a UC. Dental schools are more interested in you and your application and what you write in it more than the school that you put there. So some factors that you can keep in mind when you're deciding, if you're in that phase that I was in, UCs are quarter-based, which is 10 weeks, versus semester-based, which is 16 weeks. Some people like to finish quickly. They are happy with that. Some people like the extra amount of time, so it's up to you. UCs are mostly a plus-minus system. Some CSUs are, some are not, so that's actually something else that you want to look into. CSUs are generally easier to get into and cheaper, so that's another thing. And UCs are usually or mostly looked at as more prestigious, so if you feel like you want to, for example, go to a great university like UCLA, go for it. But one piece of advice that really helped me is to choose a school that you will do good at. It doesn't really matter if you are at UCLA and your GPA is a 3.3 versus if you go to CSUF and you have a 3.9. If you have the 3.9, you'll be looked at as a stronger applicant. Because the average GPA of matriculated dental students is a 3.55 and their science GPA is a 3.46. And that's nationwide. Some California dental schools will have a higher stats. Another choice that some students get into is whether they want to take a gap year or not. You do not have to take a gap year if you don't feel like you want to take a break in the middle. Some students like to do that. If you want to take a gap year, that's another great option. It's going to be easier for your interviews. You are going to take a break, but again, it's another year that is wasted. So the choice is again yours. Dental schools might ask you, why did you take a gap year? You, for example, can tell them that you wanted to gain more experience in the dental field, or any other reason that you chose to take it for. If you are, for example, applying to next cycle, which is, for example, fall 2019, you apply in 2018. And I'll get more into that when we talk about the application. Next, we are going to talk about the DET, the dental admission test. DET is a test that you have to take to go to dental school, and it is 6 sections, and you do that in around 5 hours, and there's a 30 minutes break in the middle. So the first section that I will talk about is the PET. This, I think, is very, very important, which is the perceptual ability. Perceptual ability contains 6 sections in it, and each one will be 15 questions, so you have 90 minutes to answer those 60 questions. And it's all perceptual ability, so your ability of manipulating 3D images in your head and finding an answer. There are lots of them. There are lots of examples. There are hole punching, pattern folding. There's also something called TFE, keyhole. And when you go into websites and register for it, that we're going to talk about, you are going to be very familiar with the sections. The second section that I will talk about is the reading. Reading consists of 3 passages, and each one has 16 or 17 questions. And overall, it's 50 questions in 60 minutes that you will have to answer. The next section is QR, short for quantitative reasoning, which is basically math. 45 questions in 60 minutes as well. And there is the science sections, which is the first section in the exam. It contains biology, 40 questions of them, general chemistry, 30 questions of those, and OChem, another 30 questions, and you get 90 minutes, an hour and a half, 30 minutes for each of them. And at the end, you get a piece of paper with the scores, and you get the scores on the day of the exam. The main scores are the PET, it's a score on its own, and you also get the AA, which is the academic average, which is the average of all the 5 sections except the PET, which is a score on its own. You also get a total science, which is a very important score, by the way. This score is not an average, it's based on your raw score that you got out of the 100 questions in the science section. The average acceptance score, or the average of matriculated students, was a 20.3. The questions are not passage based, which is something that should make you very happy. The questions are normal questions, knowledge-based, except for example PET and reading. There won't be knowledge-based. These are skills that you'll have to develop through practice. Another thing that might be a little sad for you is that you do not get a calculator. You will get a computer calculator on the QR section. It's only for basic math operations. So my biggest suggestions is that you practice without a calculator when you are studying for the DET. Let's start with talking about how to register for it. So to register for the DET, you have to create a DENT PIN, and I have lots of website that will be attached at the end, so don't worry. So for first you create a DENT PIN and make sure that your names are right, your emails are correct, your street addresses, all that. It has to match your application, and it has to match the ID that you will present when you go to the testing center. And then after you create the DENT PIN, you apply to take the exam. It's a little different. It's not registering for the exam. You apply to take it, and they have to make sure that you're eligible to take it. Most people are. If you haven't taken it in the last 3 months or 90 days, they will allow you to take it. They will email you with a code and a website that you follow to register for the DET and take it at a biometric test center. There are usually lots of times available, but my suggestion is register for it at least 2 months before the day you want to go and take the exam. And again, make sure your name that you write matches 2 IDs that you are going to bring to the biometric test center. Okay, let's start with how to study for it. It is a very important part of your application, and you want to make sure you do your best on it. So my suggestion is a great website, a great program called DET Bootcamp. And again, I have the website. It's a subscription for 3 months. It's about $350 to $375. On the website, they have a 10-week study plan for you. I followed that strategy plan and I got a 23, which is in the highest 3% of the people who take it. There's also 2 books that I used. They are the DET Destroyer. This is the math. I'm sorry, the books looks kind of old because I really used them. And this is for the 4 science sections. So I also have the website for the DET Destroyer books. These 2 are the most important that I do suggest you take it and get it. And as I mentioned before, the scores will appear on the same day, and you can retake every 90 days. And also, again, try to plan for taking the DET at least a year in advance to applying, because it will allow you to apply early. Some personal tips that I used is to follow the schedule that is on Bootcamp. There is also an application that you can download on the App Store or Google app. I don't know what they are called. It's called DET Bootcamp. This application has PET practice, which I suggest you practice PET every single day. Make sure, even if there is one day that you're taking a break in, please practice your PET. PET is purely practice. Please dedicate at least 1 hour. The section is 1 hour. Dedicate at least 1 hour a day for your PET. And even if you didn't start studying now, you can download the app and just take a look about what sections, what kind of questions, just for your own practice. The app also has biology flashcards. Biology is a huge section in the DET, something that you will need to study a lot and review for a lot. There are notes on the Bootcamp website. These are the notes I used, and I did well on my bio. But you will have to review bio a lot. And if you're not a biology major, you need to really study your biology, because some of the knowledge are not going to be there, which is totally fine. Biology, the questions are generally broad. So the Bootcamp notes will have all the knowledge that you need. If you study them well and review them a lot, you will be more than fine. Also, the test will have general chemistry and OChem. On the Bootcamp website, there are videos called mic videos. I really enjoy these. They are very, very good. If you feel like you want more, or that Mike's videos are not enough, there are Chad's videos on a website called Course Saver. It's $50 per month that you can subscribe to and watch these videos, and there are quizzes after these videos that you can take and assess your knowledge. Did I get this certain topic? Did I not? Take notes, study your OChem reactions, very, very important. Take breaks when possible. This is also important. You will study for about, I suggest you study for about 10 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks if you're really in a rush. If you are following the schedule, you will be taking one day as just a break. And I think you will really need it, so don't feel bad if you need to take a break. That's totally fine. Do at least one full-length test before the exam. Of course, the more the better, but if you are short on time, at least do 1 or 2. And make sure you eat well before the exam. You get a 30 minutes break, take a snack with you, and take care of yourself. Okay, now let's talk about the application. You have the grades, you have the DET, it's time to apply. The application opened at May 15th this year. I think it opens around the same time every single year. The website you use is called ADIA, AADSS. Again, I have the link on the PowerPoint that will be attached. The earlier you apply, the better. Make sure you have everything you need to apply before May 15th. And for example, you will need your letter of recommendations. Make sure you tell your professor at least 1 month before, so that they have a good notice of when to write them and prepare for them. Also, again, the DET, try to plan for it at least a month in advance, because you will need at least 2 months to prepare for it. It is kind of expensive to apply to dental schools. It's about $245 for the first dental school you apply to, and then $102 for each additional one. But there is a fee assistance program that you can find on their website. I do have the website here. It's on the ADIA website. And it's a first come first based service, so please make sure you apply early. I think it opens at May 15th as well, but I'm pretty sure it closes at September. So make sure you apply early to that one if you want to be considered. And my suggestion is that you apply to around 15 dental schools. I have a picture of the application here. I hope you will be able to see it later. It's mainly 4 sections. The personal information. Personal information is just your information. You, your parents, they may ask for your green card number if you're a permanent resident. And they also ask about something called manual dexterity. This is a skill that is very important for you as a dentist. It's to measure your hand and eye coordination. And I would suggest you write something in that section. It's an optional section in the application, but write something. For example, I wrote that I like to play the piano, that if you play the guitar, that's a great eye-hand coordination. If you like to sew, that's great. So anything that require hand-eye coordination that you can put in the manual dexterity section will be awesome, and they will love to see that. The next section is your academic history. That's your transcripts, grades. Make sure you don't lie on your application, because you will have to transfer your transcripts from the schools you went to your ADIA or AADSS website, so they will see your grades, so make sure it matches. And even if you're still applying and you did not finish all your classes, you will put that in the planning to take section. Supporting information is the bulk of your application. It has your dental experiences, your certificates, accomplishments, any experiences and licensed extracurricular activities, anything you have, it's on that section. Also your letter of rec and personal statement. The application allows you to add up to 4 letters of rec. Most dental schools will require you to have 3. The 4th one is very recommended. What I did is that I had 3 letters of rec from professors and 1 from a dentist. Usually the 2 science professors, they recommend there will be chemistry and biology, and 1 for a non-science class that you took, like psychology, sociology, English. And of course, your personal statement is super important. You have to write why you want to pursue dentistry. It has to be personal. It has to be interesting. Put in mind that they read thousands of applications and yours have to stand out. So plan writing your personal statement early as well. Remember, it opens May 15th. You want to have everything ready before then so that you apply early. Applying in June is like perfect. Try to at least apply at the beginning of June. That would be great. And then program materials is all the dental schools that you choose to apply to. Some dental schools require you to answer additional questions, so make sure you answer those to the best of your ability. There are 6 dental schools in California. No, for me, I don't want to leave California. So do apply to all 6 of them, especially if your stats are similar to what they are asking for. UCLA is the top dental school in California and in the nation. It's a great dental school, especially if you want to specialize. It's really great dental schools for you. The average GPA is 3.75, average academic average is 22.9, and then followed by UCSF, GPA 3.57, DET 21.8. University of the Pacific is the only dental school in the nation that is 3 years. It's an accelerated program. The GPA that they take is a 3.55, and the DET is 21.9. And then followed by USC, another great school, one of my top choices, GPA 3.5, DET 20.3. There's Loma Linda, which is a Christian school. If you are applying to Loma Linda, I recommend you get a letter of rec from a priest. It's optional, but I think it will look good. GPA 3.45 for Loma Linda and DET 20. Western is a new program. Also another great school that takes lower stats. So if you couldn't get the best GPA, you still have a chance. Again, the average is around 3.5 and 20. You want to be around that when you're applying to dental schools. Western, the GPA is 3.3 and the DET is 19.6. I do have a website that has all the stats for lots of dental schools around the nation. Okay, the well-rounded applicant. You want to show dental schools that you're not only a good student, that you are a good person. And you do that through your activities. Everything you did, put it in your application. Even if you think it's not that super important, put it in your application. Extracurricular activities. Get involved on your campus. Go to clubs. Try to get into leadership positions and leadership experience like Scouts, Sunday school. Work experience too. Community service, of course, if you can volunteer. Homeless feeding events, all that very, very important. Shadowing, you have to have shadowing experience as a pre-dental student. Contact dentists, ask them to come in and shadow in their office. Most of them are very, very welcoming, and that can open many opportunities for you. Licenses, take your CPR license. That's another easy license to take. It looks good on the application. I do have the website. Another great license, if you have time for it, is the dental assistant. If you can take it, great. I do have a website on more information about that and the programs that offer, or the schools that offer programs for it. The happy part now, interviews. Interviews are very, very happy. After you submit your primary application, you get secondaries from school. Most schools will send you secondaries if you hit their bare minimum requirements. There are mainly more questions to answer. Some schools just send an automatic processing fee, so more money, unfortunately. But getting interviews is great. After you submit your secondary application, you will get interviews. That's something else that you have to do really quickly. Try to get them done a week from when they send you. So for example, if they send you the secondary application today, get it done within this week, send them back, and wait for your interview. They usually send them after a month from your secondary submission. Usually schools will send you an email. UOP, University of the Pacific, will call you. They called me. I was so happy. So interviews means that they like you on paper, they want to meet you in person, and get to know you more. There are mainly 3 types of interviews. The first one is called MMI, which is multi-mini interview. Multi-mini interview are more actually common for medical schools, but now more and more dental schools are doing that. USC, for example, changed their interview to MMI. They included a section of that. So MMI is not one interview, but multiple mini interviews. You go to a room, the room has a question at the door, you read the question. It's usually scenario based. So for example, one question I was asked is that you are in the ER and there's a mom that's blaming you for the death of her son, and then you go out and you meet a resident, and the resident is asking if you can change the schedule for them. And then you go into the car, and then you have to pick up your son and you're late. So it's a scenario based, and you want to see your response to that. And they're usually stations, and you meet different people in each station, and they get to evaluate you and write your responses. Group interviews is not or are not so common. USC does that as well, but it's something to be prepared for. You may have to answer questions in groups, so something to be prepared for. Most of interviews that you are gonna do, hopefully, are one-on-one, which is you meeting one or two people who are interviewing you. There are two types of one-on-one: closed file and open file. As the name suggests, closed files are gonna be people that don't know anything about you. They're asking you questions, and then they're gonna evaluate your application with your answers. Open file are interviewees that read your application, read your file, and they want to know more about what's in the file. Okay. Acceptances are usually sent on December 3rd, so wait for their email or a call. Usually you can get it on December 3rd, or you can get it later. That's totally fine. Most dental schools will be 4 years, except University of the Pacific, and you will get to see actual patients in your third year. At the end of dental school, you will get a rib exam, and you have to pass that to get your license. There are many specialties that you might be interested in. I do have them here, and I hope you'll be able to see them. But again, you do not have to specialize. You do not have to do a residency if you want to be just a general dentist, which is great. After the 4 years, you get to work. I do have my email here. Please ask me any questions, marinakalds@yahoo.com. And thank you so much for hearing me out.